I'm BB Davis. Welcome to CIGARA Saint Sister Live. Welcome TAHDAH Squad and all other visitors. This is an evening of celebration, the life of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. I speak on hospice care and transitions. Hi loves, this is BB, CIGARA Saint Sister, TAHDAH Squad, and those who are not a part of the TAHDAH Squad. Welcome to the second official YouTube channel, CIGARA Saint Sister Live. I am BB Lolita, cigar and tobacco aficionado for 28 years, living the cigar lifestyle somewhere between saint and sinner. Now, TAHDAH Squad, it has been a while since I've done a video, and I said that I was going to try and do more videos, more frequent, but as life has it, I left you hanging a little bit, so I do apologize for that. But I'm here, so cheers to all of us, and cheers to all of the subscribers who I call the TAHDAH Squad stars and staros, and for all new subscribers, hello, and for those who are considering subscribing, cheers to you. Now this evening is going to be quite bittersweet, but very informative. Not going to drag it out, but just give some informational vibes and some love vibes. Because a lot of people are in deep mourning and bittersweet vibes for the passing of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin passed away on yesterday. And it is quite unbelievable to a lot of people. The tributes and expressions of love in various ways have just happened all over the world if you are tuned in to the coverage that's been happening since her transition. So, without further ado, I'm going to have a sip of this beautiful red. And we're going to just discuss, along with me lining up a beautiful cigar. Some people could say this is like a Lancero in the family. But this is the Villiger Kiel, Brazil. And I'm going to show you the packaging. This is one of my favorite go-tos. The Villiger Kiels has a beautiful conversation piece because of the quill tip, the tip of the cigar, which is not traditional of cigars. And that's what makes it a beautiful conversation piece. But here is the packaging. I have these special ordered from my B&M. And just to bring that closer in, that's like the conversation piece. It's a beautiful cigar from Villiger, however you pronounce it. And I'm going to go ahead and light it up. Unlike the traditional cigars where you have to just take your time rolling, you can just go in and get that rolling. And I'm ready for the conversation. I hope that you are too. Put on some more music here. A lot of us heard the whispers here and there a few years ago about the changes as far as physical appearance of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. And what we are knowing in the present tense are some of the whispers that we heard in the years before that it was pancreatic cancer. As a private woman, and it is her right, she did not acknowledge that to the public. With the decrease of weight of the Queen of Soul and the changing of appearance, when she would not, and again that is her right, when she would not confirm that it was pancreatic cancer. Many thought it was like weight loss surgery. As the weight decreased, you know, everybody was like, wow, she really looks great, and, you know, whew, thank God that wasn't what we thought it was. But it really was what the first whispers were. And I will say, in the age of information, and I spoke on this, which was forwarded by the editors and interns on Instagram, on the 1021 Magazine IG platform. In the age of information and the age of sharing, you have to respect the Queen for not sharing that to the public, because so many people are just on death watch all the time, and it can be quite brutal for media. I don't think that's a secret at all. So I'm going to change up the music here. You know, a lot of people, besides the media, they be on this whole death watch, and it can get very brutal in the headlines. And when someone has a diagnosis of terminal, or let's see what we can do with this diagnosis and seek other forms of possible treatment and be optimistic. And I'm saying this not in any knowing of what her and her doctors spoke of. I'm just speaking like literal, and also from experience, because my grandmother, she transitioned in 2008 of stage 4 cancer, and she was diagnosed like a decade earlier, and it went into remission, like total remission. So she chose not to tell us that it was stage 4, and that was my grandmother's right to that. Because, you know, as much as we love people and we want to just know all, you have to respect privacy and dignity of a person and how they want to spend their quality of life. So I'm going to put on some music here. That kind of news, I can't even possibly put myself in anyone's shoes like that, because I can just imagine, you know, what goes through the mind. Because once you as a family member, friend, fan, close ones, once you find that out and you have real feeling for that person, you go through your own stages of emotions, but it will never be how it is for that particular person, what they're going through, because it is their life that's on the line, or their life that is coming to an end. So I do salute Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, for her choices and how she released the information. The last few appearances, she had dropped considerable weight, and then the whispers started coming back. The family released a statement like a few days before saying that she would be in hospice care. And for anyone who is familiar with hospice, this is the moment of the countdown to your transition. And as I said before, my grandmother went into hospice, stage 4, and after the first diagnosis, when she revealed that the cancer had come back, she didn't say stage 4 until, the doctors did different kind of treatments, and then when everything was exhausted, then she agreed to have them tell all of us. And she had some weeks, right at over a month, maybe 2 months. And so I remember after, getting the news and being there, and on the maternal side, I am the oldest grandchild. And being the oldest grandchild and the only grandchild for about 11 years before the other grandchildren came, that was just like mom to me, and it was devastating. But then you had to, be strong, because she was strong through every stage until the very end. And I delegated my duties to others, and I, along with my mother and others, we were there every day, and we chose the option, just as Aretha did, to be in the comforts of your own home. And so hospice care was brought to her and my grandfather's home. And the hospice nurses, they come in and they're so professional and prepared for this very, very highly sensitive moment in time, because the focus is on the person who's terminal, and it's also on the family members. They give you this book that's called Hidden from Our Sight. It's a blue book, and many who have gone through this, like many families have, that book is so detailed. And it gives a overall accurate account of what to expect as the person ends their physical life. And it's a hard read, but it's a helpful read. It's a blessing, because it tells you the different stages and what to expect. Getting toward more of the ending, like right around 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and a week, I just wanted to kind of break that down. They sleep more because they are being made comfortable. So with the medication that they receive, they sleep more. They're unable to start taking on the solid food still. So they are fed a lot of times intravenously. Then it could be where they talk about loved ones who have transitioned on. And that's how it was with my grandmother. I don't know how it was for Aretha. But we always had soft lighting in the bedroom. We had classic music to gospel music and rotated. We read Bible verses. My grandparents, and we are one of the first families of the AME church, so you had a lot of church members who came, and then we started cutting back the visits to select persons. They do drop considerable amounts of weight in some circumstances, and then they get to the point where they can't eat anymore. This usually is about the last week to a few days. They start feeling cool to the touch as different parts of the bodily functions start to shut down. But what is so significant is that even when they can't eat or they can't speak, their hearing is impeccable. So you definitely don't want to do the pity party, or you don't want to do the sadness around them. I think as much as you can, you want to keep it as upbeat. That way they can feel ready to leave knowing that you're going to be okay. You reassure them that you're going to be okay and that you love them and you'll never forget them, and this is only farewell until we see each other again. And when they stop eating, you panic because you think about yourself. Oh my God, if I'm not eating for a week, aren't I starving? And they're not. And the book details that as well. They no longer have the need to eat, because they are transitioning. The spirit is going to be soon ready to leave the body and move on from this world. And it's so heartbreaking, but also as a selfless person, even through your selfishness, you want them to be at peace. You don't want them to suffer anymore. So it's the yin and the yang with that. There are just beautiful ways to keep them comfortable. We would give my grandmother foot massages. We would sing and just be there with the hugs and the touches. I think touch is so important all the way until the end, because a lot of times when they can't speak anymore, I'm sure there's so much more that they want to say. With the feelings of touch and love and kindness, it just definitely goes a long way. It's appreciated. It gives the dignity and the respect as they transition. And again, it makes them less to want to hold on in their pain and their suffering, but rather they feel like, I left my family in good hands and I'm ready to move on. Or I've accepted as much as I humanly can to release myself. They give you these little mint sticks that you can swab their mouth and keep it very cool, to keep their mouth or their throat from drying out. And it's just amazing how great the medical professionals are and how whoever wrote that book, it was just so detailed. And so anyone who is about to go through that or may not go through that and they want to take a look at that book that tells you the transitioning period, is just wonderful. It's a godsend. And I just feel so blessed to have had that book and the care and loving care of the hospice nurses and just everything. And so I'm sure that hearts are very heavy with the transitioning of the Queen of Soul, but also the love is there knowing that she is no longer in pain, no more suffering. And now, for those who remain, just like with us and our family and so many others, you start to heal. And it's a long process. Sometimes the missing them comes back so fresh, you're filled with tears and just like it just happened. And you have those moments. And it's good to have a support team. The hospice care does not leave the family after the loved one has transitioned. They check on you. And I think it's just so beautiful. And so the Franklin family, as well as others, they will be getting that same type of self-care for those who remain. And death is a part of life. And it's just so great that she knew how much her fans loved her, Aretha Franklin, and she knew how much her family loved her, and that those who had the honor to see her in those last stages, I'm very sure that was comfort. You never get over a loved one who has passed, but you get through it. And sometimes you have days that can be just like too much to bear. But when you have others around you and you have your faith and all of that, you can see yourself through. So I wanted to just express that on this particular film footage, and I hope that it helps a lot of people who may be going through it or who can't remember when, like myself, and for people who are mourning the Queen of Soul, and it just gives an insight of the process, not of hers, because I don't know that, but just an overview. And she will be missed, absolutely. So I hope everyone has been doing okay. A lot of great things are coming on this channel and on the first channel, so stay close to the platform. And again, I do appreciate everyone for their love. The next video will be livelier, where I celebrate the Queen of Soul, so I hope that you come back and enjoy that particular film footage moment, because we're going to liven it up and celebrate the life of such an extraordinary lady who has impacted generations. And when you want to talk about purpose-driven life, there you go. 6 decades in the public eye, and to have that privacy as much as one can in the public eye is to be honored and respected, and I think that is just wonderful. It's going to be some really cool music for the next part. Again, upbeat. And I hope that this really helped someone in a very special way of just, you know, talking it out. And it's always a good thing to let your emotions flow out as much as possible rather than to keep that in, because you don't want to do that to yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, or anything like that. This is a fantastic stick. This is really beautiful. So, we're going to keep flowing. With the next moment. So be prepared for uplift from this moment, celebrating the Queen of Soul. So fire up your stick. Get you something beautiful to drink. Because we're going to have us a good time. So I hope that you join me. I'm BB, Cigar Saint Sister, enjoying the Villiger Kiel. Sending good vibes your way. And as always, rest in love, rest in peace, and rest in power to the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. And rest in peace, rest in love, and rest in power to anyone who has lost a loved one on this side. Not really like lost, but they've transitioned, because love lives forever, and you always have that spirit surrounding you and loving you. That's my belief. I'm BB, Cigar Saint Sister. More to come. Peace and love. Thanks so much for locking in with me. I'm BB Davis, CIGARA, Saint Sister, and TAHDAH Squad, and all visitors. There's more to come. We continue to celebrate the life of Aretha Franklin, so stay tuned.